First and foremost, I'd say it's been quite busy, and the traction and all of the talks and the multiple roundtable discussions has been extremely well received. I think the split of discussions from regulatory to manufacturing to some of more the basic science tracks has been really quite interesting and engaging. What's really impressed me the most is the amount of interaction between the panels and the audience here. So it's really been quite a hectic and busy morning, but also quite instructive on all the topics. My disappointment is that I can't be in more than one room at a time, though. We raised this as a topic for the launch and patient accidents track. It is a critical element. I think the thing I've learned in sort of organizing the panel discussions that we will have, and we're going to talk a bit about the topic in the plenary. It's a bit of a table setting for the concurrent session on the regulatory harmonization. The first thing I've learned is probably harmonization is not the perfect term. There's a bit more of regulatory convergence. So I am by no means a regulatory authority or pose as one, but it's absolutely critical. The things that I've taken away so far in the conversations is that there's really a need for portability of data throughout the trial and the development of a therapeutic, which will further enable sort of broader access and considerable cost savings, as well as the ability to develop, then deliver the platform technologies across the globe. And, part of our track is really interested in patient access. So the regulatory harmonization will really help assure that there is a single sort of a single molecule, a single product manufactured in a very harmonious way across the different parts of the geographies, and that the regulatory authorities will recognize the data sets and data packages that come along with it. I think while we're following a similar format to past years, it is still very much in the translational program, at least. It starts in the very deep scientific basis, covering a lot of different technology topics, including cell therapy, a little bit gene therapy, a lot of RNA, a lot of the new tech and emerging technologies, including gene editing. Those are sort of top of mind for people. And then how those actually progress through the clinical trial process, so that they do ultimately lead to, let's just say, commercial products. And I say commercial and with the intent of broadly available products. There's quite a bit of discussion about how do we get products distributed globally. So for me, the translational program that starts with early science and then progresses all the way to launch and patient access gives the audience quite a broad perspective of the challenges and the bottlenecks throughout the entire workflow, and what it really will take to get an advanced therapy to the market. Yeah, with the emergence of new technologies, I think there is a strong manufacturing technology focus, which is, I think, calming everyone down to say that, okay, let's focus on the drug itself or and the advanced therapy itself, that if the therapies are proven to be effective and actually address the therapeutic indications well, that the manufacturing bottlenecks and challenges that people have talked about for years will be overcome. So I think there's a bit more confidence that there are emerging platforms and capabilities to solve some of the manufacturing challenges that we all knew existed. So it's a bit of a, if you build it, they will come, and people have invested considerable time and energy in making manufacturing, more tractable. The things we're hearing about, though, and I think the parts of it that confound it, is the complexity of therapies has increased dramatically over the past several years. We're, introducing beyond viral vector manufacturing, we now have other gene editing modalities which are coming to market. We expect to see approvals of a couple of gene therapies or gene edited cell technologies this year. So I think what we anticipate is this continual march towards commercial availability of these therapies, and sort of underpinning that is the complexity of all the different new modalities, new indications. So what had largely been what I would say largely been a CAR T effort over the last few years, where we've seen a lot of success. We're starting to see significant steps forward in iPSC generation, in other gene editing platforms, as well as the continuing argument of how are we actually going to ultimately serve the patient community at scale. So scalability is still at front of mind for everyone. And I think that with the complexity of modalities and our new technologies converging to solve the scalability needs, we're sort of skating to where the puck will be, if you don't mind that expression, but we're heading in the right direction for the convergence of those technologies to come together. I think it's done two things. So first and foremost, it's demonstrated, if you think about the RNA vaccines, they were built on a platform that historically was meant to be targeted towards vaccine manufacturing, but also a number of the gene therapies. You've seen some of the pipelines from Moderna and Pfizer and BioNTech that had been originally deployed or thought of as cancer treatments. So I think it's brought the acceptance, sort of the general regulatory acceptance, as well as the technical acceptance. You could argue effectively we've run the world's largest clinical trials in the last few years with the COVID vaccine being rolled out. But I think the effectiveness and demonstrating that it can work as a vaccine, but overcoming the sort of the tropism and the need to actually generate larger delivery cargoes, as well as the ability to deliver higher volumes of genetic material, still requires bearing out to demonstrate it can work more systemically compared to what a vaccine is required to do. I think for me, I think that on the cell therapy space, we're definitely seeing a lot of focus on the pluripotent stem cell to sort of drive towards allogeneic therapies. That continues to sort of be a checkbox or a solution towards the cost of manufacturing for autologous therapies. I'm squarely in the camp that there is room for both autologous and allogeneic therapies for different indications, for different acuteness of therapy need. So I think what we're seeing is the evolution of technologies that are better suited towards the indications that the industry is going after now. Certainly gene therapy, the argument is, well, can we ever get beyond the virus gene delivery platform and look at direct LNP delivery into cells? Can we do that systemically? Can we do that in a targeted fashion? I think those are areas for real rich discussion over the coming weeks, months, years even. And then I think sort of going after new indications, genetic modification, the inflammatory areas of exploration for therapeutic intervention, and then certainly cancer and oncology will continue to require additional attention, going after solid tumors as an example of key areas of focus. Going into 2022 and coming up in the first 6 months now almost of 2023, it's almost kind of two sides of that story. So certainly there was the IPO frenzy of the late 2021. There was quite a bit of excitement. So I think what happened originally was there was a lot of exuberance for the technology, and there was almost a race to get assets or get hands-on assets and then sort of let them progress through the trial and be borne out. With the IPO and the turn in the economic market and sort of the downturn of available cash for those companies, a lot of them had to sort of right-size the business. I think there's effectively a natural, I hate to say it this way, but a natural culling of therapeutic assets then, so that likely the best will survive. And then from there, I think that what I'm seeing in the industry is people continue to invest in not only good quality assets that show therapeutic benefit, but also the underpinning tools and technologies that enable them to be manufactured. So we have seen in our companies, and we are a life sciences tools investor, we have seen no slowdown in the uptake of these technologies and kind of a pursuit of getting them delivered and designed into people's workflows so that that we can achieve and deliver those therapeutics to the market in the coming years. So I think beyond that, I think there's a bit of optimism for what's going to happen in the next 6 months to a year. There's a wealth of quality assets out there. There are the diligence that is going into those is still being borne out, and it's very detailed, but there's still a lot of good quality investments to be made, and there's a lot of and the money is available to make those investments. So I'm very bullish on 2023 and 2024. This will expose my bias as a manufacturing tools company. I think that manufacturing will continue to seek, obviously, there's always been this push to drive towards automation and the factory of the future. Manufacturing will really come down to just a few things. It will come down to the skill set of the operators that will be required to perform the manufacturing, whether that is home built or within a CDMO. It will be built around the technologies that really enable scalability. And when I talk about scalability, I mean ability to scale up as well as scale down. So we need better tools that are predictive of what large scale manufacturing can do, but we need to be able to operate the process development experiments or execute the process development experiments at a smaller scale with assurance that that will ultimately serve the larger processes that are needed. And then finally, the ability to sort of port technologies and conserve technologies from one asset to the other. I think everybody's looking for, right now there is no one size tool or technology to fit every manufacturing modality. I think as therapies and the processes to manufacture therapies start to shake out what works efficiently and effectively, we'll start to see a little bit of clarity around the tools and technologies that support that. And I think that's the time when we really need to lean into automation and sort of distributed manufacturing as a potential area of focus. You know, I've had the fortune to work with some really fantastic people, not only with ISCT, the staff there has been really supportive, but the folks that have raised their hands to volunteer their time in terms of helping to organize some of the concurrent sessions, as well as those who have volunteered to speak. These are extremely high caliber, key opinion leaders, and I have received very few, no, sorry, I'm busy. Everybody was eager to be at ISCT. And yeah, so I've had the privilege of working with just some fantastic people, and I'm really looking forward to the program and seeing how it unfolds. I think we've got a great story to tell, and the speakers are the storytellers. And I think it's going to be quite the event.